Good evening, Rams, and welcome to another semester of CTV Geeks. I'm Alex Prast.
And I'm Tom Isaacson. I'm excited to be here as Alex's brand new co-host. I look forward to hanging out with my new co-host and all of you as we talk all things geek. A whole lot of news happened over winter break, and it's time to get you caught up.
As usual, we'll start things off with the big blockbuster news, with a quick interlude from Tom, who will cover a spooky local hotspot for fans of board games and card games.
Then we'll visit a club on campus that dives into one of the most complicated genres in all of pop culture, science fiction.
After that, I believe Tom may have some things to get off his chest about the world's latest movies and TV shows.
Oh, do I ever. And lastly, we'll make our glorious return to the geeks on the streets of CSU. All this and more, starting right now.
The Book of Boba Fett has been at the center of the Star Wars universe lately, and for good reason. Fans have enjoyed getting to know more about the clone bounty hunter and his takeover of Tatooine's crime scene. Between flashbacks and the present day, we've seen Boba make and lose allies as he prepares to defend his territory against the Pike Syndicate. However, things really started to pick up in Episode 5 with the return of everyone's favorite Mandalorian, Din Djarin. He's returned to assist Boba, but not without being followed by a few cameos from Grogu, Luke Skywalker, and Ahsoka Tano. With one episode just left a few hours from this moment, this could shape up to be the best Star Wars series yet.
The Guardians of the Galaxy have been gracing our Marvel screens every few years since their debut in 2014. But their next movie may be their last. James Gunn, the film series director, said last Friday that Volume 3 will be the last appearance of this iterations of the Guardians characters. Many fans suspect this will mean that the death of one or more Guardians might be happening, particularly that of Drax, portrayed by former wrestler Dave Bautista. The actor has said this will be his last film, and in the movie world, that often means the death of one of a character's lives. Hopefully the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will still continue to delve into its fun and comedic side, because us geeks think this one is gonna hurt.
Move over, Euphoria, because a new streaming power has arrived at HBO in the form of John Cena's new series, Peacemaker. For the last month, Cena has portrayed the C-lister anti-hero Peacemaker with bold action sequences, comedic energy, and emotional depth. For those unfamiliar, Peacemaker is a man who will fight for peace, no matter how many men, women, and children he must kill to get it. Between the incredible intro and the unexpected cameos, this show has blasted people's expectations, and apparently there's more to come. James Gunn specifically held back the season finale from critics, claiming major characters show up, and he is taking every precaution to prevent leaks and spoilers. The rumors are flying that Peacemaker will receive a season 2, and if the fan and critic conversation has any say, it will certainly happen. Time will tell if we will see more of the crime fighter story, but I know that if season 2 of Peacemaker isn't announced, we'll just have to make our peace with it.
12 years ago, the cult classic film Scott Pilgrim vs. the World rocked our world with a high-energy cast, electric music, creative visuals, and a very weird but very endearing story from renowned director Edgar Wright. Now there is a chance we will visit Scott's world again, this time with an anime lens. Brian O'Malley, the original creator, is writing an exclusively produced with Ben David Grabinski, the showrunner, behind the revival of Are You Afraid of the Dark at Nickelodeon. Edgar Wright will not return to direct, but hopefully the series will continue to emulate the over-the-top energy of the original film.
If you tuned into the NFL's last wildcard game, you may have caught the teaser for the fast-approaching new Disney Plus show, Moon Knight. The chilling trailer introduced us to Mark Spector, an ex-Marine suffering from dissociative identity disorder. One of his personalities becomes the vigilante Moon Knight after he's imbued with the powers of an ancient Egyptian god. I know I'm looking forward to this one because it's one of the first shows to feature a main character we haven't met yet anywhere else in the MCU, as well as taking a darker and more violent spin than Marvel tends to be comfortable with. The highly anticipated series premieres on March 30th.
It has been 5 whole years since The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was originally released to the public. Fans have been eagerly waiting a sequel, And just last week, we learned that we won't have to wait much longer. Nintendo officially confirmed the Untitled sequel will be coming out later this year. This time we join Link and Zelda in the aftermath of the events of Breath of the Wild, where Calamity Ganon was defeated once more. Now the duo must rebuild what is left of Hyrule. Through gameplay trailers released by Nintendo, we are taking Link to the skies above and venturing through an evolving and scarred Hyrule once more. Now it is always possible the game gets delayed into 2023, but only time will tell.
There was not a single dry eye in the house when Tony Stark died in Avengers Endgame. However, that may not mean the end of the Iron Man mantle. Speculation has begun for the next big Marvel movie, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. There has been some speculation that the journey through the multiverse will facilitate some surprise appearances from alternate versions of the characters we love. That includes the fan theory that Tom Cruise will appear in the film as an alternate version of Iron Man. Fans may know that Cruise was on the shortlist to play Tony Stark in 2008's Iron Man, the launch of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Ultimately, Robert Downey Jr. got the role, but now that the MCU multiverse is real, anything can happen.
We've covered a whole lot of nerd news, but we aren't finished quite yet. But for right now, let's take a quick break. Then we'll go visit a haunted hotspot here in Fort Collins. Stay tuned.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. Let's get back into it. Fort Collins is home to many unique personalities and more specifically, places to go. So I took CTV Geeks over to Horsetooth and College to explore the world of board games.
In the aftermath of the original lockdown, many people have found or rediscovered a love of games. No, not your typical Call of Halo, Battlefield, whatevers, board games and card games. And that's what this place is all about. Welcome to the Haunted Game Cafe, a space for everyone.
The Haunted Game Cafe is a board game store and a cafe where you can play games all in one. We started in October of 2009, so right about Halloween 2009.
This is Gary, owner of the cafe, who came up with the idea many years ago.
When I was doing research for opening my own game store, it was very popular in Korea then to do game cafes. They hadn't occurred anywhere in North America yet. I guess my primary motivation for opening a cafe as well as the game store was to make sure that there was a gaming space, but it was also relatively upscale.
The store itself has a myriad of different things you can buy, from traditional board games to miniatures and collectible cards. But there is a cafe element too.
So we're more of a cafe than a full restaurant. We'll do coffee, drinks, smoothies, and things like that. But we also do pizza and wings, and we have a liquor license that we can serve beer and cider.
Better still, the Haunted Game Cafe holds events like the one I got to see tonight.
Tonight will be Friday Night Magic. Friday Night Magic is a thing that the publisher of the game Wizards of the Coast puts on that most local game stores participate in. We do role-playing game events. We do miniatures events where people can play little miniature armies against each other. We do card events. But mostly, I think, it's people coming in with their friends.
It's all about the environment. And whether you love simple board games or serious role-playing games, this spot is clearly the place to go.
I wouldn't say that there's a particular kind of person that we particularly target. We wanted to make this as broad as possible. The cafe helps with getting a much general audience, rather than focusing on people that only collect a certain game or only play a certain game.
Honestly, can I just say, what a creative idea for a business. It was just so much fun to go through there. You felt energy from all kinds of different levels of board games.
You know, it's really fascinating. I had never heard of it before you told me you were going over there, and it looks incredible. I really want to go visit now and just feel that environment of playing those games.
Absolutely. It is a really fun environment, and what's really important is to note the cafe aspect of it. It's not just a store. You know, you get to go in there, there's a bunch of tables for you and your friends to come play, you know, anything from Monopoly or Sorry to full D&D campaigns. I think that part is really cool.
Well, I know where I'm going after show.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to give a huge thanks again to Gary and the whole crew over at the Haunted Game Cafe. It was an incredibly fun experience and to explore and learn more about the place. Now we need to take a quick break, but don't leave just yet. We've got more nerd news after these messages.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Welcome back from the break. Let's dive into more new nerd news. For many years now, if you wanted to play games on a handheld portable console, your options have been mainly the Nintendo Switch and its many variations. However, last year, a new kid rolled up on the block. Valve software known for games such as Half-Life, Portal, Team Fortress, and hardware devices like the Valve Index VR headset unveiled this, the Steam Deck, a portable handheld gaming PC, or so they say. Valve claims it will be fully capable of playing desktop-class AAA titles like Doom Eternal and Ghost Runner. This is Valve we're talking about here. They learned their lesson from last time with the Steam machines about underpowering and overpromising their hardware. Well, after many delays over the last several months, the Steam Deck is set to begin shipping at the end of this month to those who reserved one early on.
Tom Holland blew our minds with Spider-Man No Way Home, and the actor will return to the big screen next week already. We will see Holland as an adventurer Nathan Drake in Uncharted, a film adaptation of the highly popular Naughty Dog video game of the same title. While both Holland and his co-star Mark Wahlberg seem much younger than the source material, we can hope that this film depicts the two characters in the earlier days of their adventuring lives. Being a longtime fan of the series and Naughty Dog in general, I'm definitely looking forward to the charisma these two will bring to the roles on February 17th.
And speaking of video game adaptations, recently we retreated to the trailer for the live-action Halo television series that will premiere on Paramount+. On March 22nd, we will see 9 episodes of Pablo Schreiber as Master Chief and Jen Taylor as Cortana, as well as many more fan-favorite characters brought to life by real actors. However, feedback for this series after the trailer came out last week has been mixed. Rumor has it that the series will be focusing on an entirely different timeline from what Halo fans are familiar with, which is making some people a little unhappy. Hopefully, social media will be the site of fans' excitement rather than that of a chopping block.
And hopefully you're not too tired of video game adaptation news quite yet. Last semester, we shared with you some behind-the-scenes footage from the upcoming HBO series, The Last of Us. Now we have a significant plot update ahead of the potential trailer release date on Super Bowl Sunday. In the video game, the pandemic that causes the apocalypse breaks out in the year 2013. However, the show has decided to shift that timeline a bit, and now the deadly outbreak will begin in 2003. We're not sure how that will impact the show yet, but we do know that this could be in response to COVID-19. Either way, filming is set to complete in about June of this year, so there's still quite a bit of time until we see why this change was made.
Nearly a decade ago, Rockstar Games released Grand Theft Auto V, and for the next 9 years they would only remaster it and then ruin the online multiplayer mode with every update. Fans of the series have cried out desperately for a 6th installment of the popular franchise, while their prayers have finally been answered. In a blog post online, Rockstar Games officially announced that the next game is well underway with development, which means we can hope to see a 6th installment in the next few years. That being said, it is unlikely we'll hear any more news about the game for another few years, if history is to repeat itself with other Rockstar games and franchises. But it is still nice to know it is coming.
Although the potential sale of the CW caused some unease, the network has gone full steam ahead with approving new projects anyway, such as Supernatural and Walker prequel series, as well as a pilot order for Gotham Knights. The series, which will add to the network's history of DC shows, comes from the producers of the Batwoman series. Not many details have been released quite yet, but we do know that it will take place in Gotham, and that it will not be based on the video game of the same name that comes out later this year. Perhaps Gotham Knights is just what the CW needs to boost its ratings once again and save the network from being sold. Considering that the producers of the show will be the same of those for the low-rated Batwoman series, we're not so sure how well the series will do.
That's all the nerd news we have for you tonight. Now, Alex brings us to a student organization devoted to what should probably be a CSU-accredited course, science fiction and fantasy.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Orcs, dragons, elves, mages, and more. As far as we knew, there was only one place we could find them: magical realms in fictional worlds. But a certain science fiction and fantasy club has proved us wrong. Let's take a look at a place where you can find all things fantastical right here on campus.
When you go there, you can only use the bottom two locations, or use bottom two actions.
In the modern age of technology and video games, it can be easy to miss out on playing tabletop games with your friends. However, one club at CSU is making sure the magic stays alive.
I'm the president of the Science Fiction and Fantasy Club. So we just host a bunch of different, like I said, nerd events throughout the week. So we do D&D on Saturdays, we do Magic the Gathering on Thursdays, we do book club on Wednesdays, and then board game nights on Tuesdays.
D&D especially is known for its complex rules and time commitment, often intimidating new players.
I'm pretty sure anybody who has ever played D&D can tell you that it's impossible to get a group going. So this just gives you like a set time and space that you will always have games, so that way you don't have to worry about like, oh, does this work for everyone? How are we going to work around schedules, things like that. It's just giving them the time and space to just commit to doing a game, which is really nice. I think that the biggest thing is like D&D isn't going to be for everyone. Not everybody wants to get into playing a character, but if you've ever like had like interest in it, it's actually pretty easy to get into it. And different DMs like different things. So like, you know, if you don't want to necessarily play a character, but you're interested in the combat aspect, there are different ways to kind of get into it that way. But I mean, when it comes to like teaching somebody how to play the game, it's very much just kind of like building them up and, you know, kind of like teaching them how to do it. And starting at lower levels obviously helps so they can get used to the mechanics before trying to get into some of the bigger things.
A big appeal to these tabletop games are the social aspect, and this club prides itself on its community.
So I didn't make a lot of friends my freshman year, and so like it was sophomore year that I started going to the board game night and everything, and like I have just such a great group of friends from that. And just like as I've kind of been doing this, like you meet so many great people. Like I mean, being the president of the club, our Discord has like 300 people on it, almost 400, so there's a lot of people, and you kind of just like get used to seeing people around. You kind of see them at several of the different events, and it kind of just like the people there are always so like kind and sweet, and they'll just like chat with you a lot about like great nerdy things. So like my friend group is entirely just super nerdy people now, and it's great.
It's common for newcomers to feel out of place, like they aren't geek enough to play these games. This isn't the case, and the Sci-Fi and Fantasy Club puts in an effort to welcome everyone.
Anybody who wants to get into it, it's just like, yes, absolutely, like let everybody and anybody in who wants to be like, check it out, you know. It's kind of just one of those, all of our events are beginner friendly, so if you don't know exactly, you know, anything specific, or you want to start to get into it, it's like very welcoming. And I don't think we ever have a problem of people being gatekeepy. We, you know, try to quell that as much as we can, and then also just people are really nice in the club, and it's great.
I fail.
All right, so this thing's gonna hit you.
Thank you so much to Melina and the rest of the crew at that club. I had such a great time, not only getting to cover that story, but also to just be part of the games. It honestly brought back so many memories from high school.
Absolutely. No, you know what's interesting about that is when I started college, it was right during COVID. And so at Ram Welcome, they were like, here's a sheet of all these clubs you can join. And then they basically said, but you can't actually join any of them because they're either all online or they're not actually happening.
Well, it's awesome. It was really refreshing to get to see all of the games being in person. You know, everyone's still masked up and everything, but the social aspect is so important, and I love just getting to be able to be a part of that again.
Absolutely. That's super cool.
Now, after the break, we welcome you to enjoy a new segment on our show where Tom dissects and he stands on the biggest movies released lately, from major flops to the top of the box office. Prepare yourselves for Tom Talks TV and Movies.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch.
Till September.
I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs, and that's still not enough to put food on the table. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
What's up, Rams? Welcome back from the break. My name is Tom Isaacson, and right now, I want to talk about movies. It recently became 2022, so let's hit the rewind button on 2021 and check out the lows, the highs, and the surprises of movie and TV from last year. And to kick us off, let's talk about that TV. I had a really hard time narrowing this one down, so let's see the top 3 based on ratings and some personal taste. First up is Star Wars Visions, which had several anime studios give their take on a great Star Wars story, and the animation in some of them is just fantastic. The stories are phenomenal too, giving us action and adventure from every corner in the galaxy, and at many different time points in the Star Wars universe. It's a show I thoroughly enjoyed and would definitely recommend to any Star Wars fan. Next up, we have Wandavision, which, if you've seen it, you know exactly why it made the list. Through and through, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany kill it alongside Catherine Hahn and Teyonah Parris. It's a thrilling mystery story that unravels live in front of your eyes in such a satisfying fashion, and it's clear why many have enjoyed it. And finally, for a dose of action, how can you not mention Hawkeye? It's got Jeremy Renner's character in the title, but Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop clearly stole the show. It's an action-packed adventure that put me on the edge of my seat without question. Now let's move on to some of those movies. There were a lot of great contenders out there, from Free Guy to Spider-Man No Way Home, but the winner in my mind, and it seems everyone else's, is clear. Denis Villeneuve's Dune absolutely knocked it out of the park this year. I mean, seriously, what else is there to say? With a cast packed to the brim with Hollywood A-listers including Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Oscar Isaac, Dave Bautista, and Jason Momoa, you know it had to be good. And it didn't disappoint. With insane music from Hans Zimmer, which, to no surprise, sounds outstanding. But the real show stealer was Greg Fraser's cinematography. This movie is visually stunning. Combined with the excellent music, you feel very much a part of this world and its epic story. Watching this on anything smaller than a tablet is not doing it justice. I recommend seeing this on as big of a screen as you can. In my opinion, it's just the prettiest film I have ever seen. But let's take it down a notch and take a moment to highlight what was probably the biggest disappointment of 2022's movies. Yep, it's The Matrix Resurrections. I'll say it right now. If you love the original trilogy and you're worried about this spoiling for you, stop worrying. This movie is not worth your time. You will probably be able to picture a better movie in your head if I give you basic plot points right now. Somehow it got a 62% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, which makes me question, did we all see the same movie? Clearly not, because it's a 4.5 out of 10 at best. The only thing helping it were fairly decent visual effects, nostalgia, and some action pieces. And I don't know what happened, but if this movie wanted to make Keanu look young, they failed miserably. And pro tip, if Keanu is still kicking butt as John Wick, you can let him do some kung fu. If you're going to write a line in there that says, "Oh, I still know kung fu," let him do some kung fu instead of just using the force or something. Ugh, what an utter disaster. Dismal action, lazy story writing, and the music is bad too. Let's just move on. I don't want to talk about this one anymore. To round things out, let's talk about what I thought was probably the biggest surprise of 2021. And that title definitely goes to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I gotta be honest, after Endgame, I was feeling really burnt out on all this superhero stuff. But this brings me back. If you're even remotely a fan of Marvel or just enjoy some good action fighting, I say this is a must-watch. I almost did skip it, and boy am I glad that I didn't. With some of the most excellent fight choreography I have ever seen, combined with excellent cinematography, it really surprised me just how much I loved this movie. I was really expecting it to be pretty meh, but let's face it, these days Marvel can't exactly make a bad film anyway. I was kind of expecting this to be one you enjoy, but maybe don't remember or watch unless it's on the TV. To my surprise, this is a movie I would go back and watch again and again. Such good stuff. And now it looks like the tape is fully rewound, so let's head on over back to the desk and talk to Alex.
Now, Tom, I would heavily agree with Dune. I think phenomenal movie, but it was a very, very close second for me. I have to go with Spider-Man No Way Home. The experience I had watching Endgame in theaters opening night, I thought that was a one-shot. I'd never get that again with people cheering on with characters appearing. But I got it again with Spider-Man No Way Home opening night. It was indescribable. I loved every second of it.
No, absolutely. It was a very, very strong contender for me, but just the visual brilliance of Dune and every single shot just feeling so real to life, I had to pick it. And that score by Hans Zimmer, it's just amazing.
Well, Hans Zimmer never misses.
Absolutely not.
Never misses.
It felt like a successor to his Interstellar score, which is renowned as one of the best.
Flawless, I would dare describe.
Absolutely.
Well, all right, Rams, it's time for the one you've been waiting for, Geeks on the Street.
All right, first question for you. What was your favorite movie that you saw in 2021?
So I don't know if it counts as 2021. No, it does, because it came out in 2021, but I just saw it. It was Encanto. I was like so into that. Lin-Manuel Miranda just nailed the soundtrack, and I really just loved the messages in it. It was great.
Cecilia, up top! Was given their own magical gift.
Favorite movie that came out last year. What did I see last year?
Nightmare Alley.
Are you in contact with the Beyond?
Well, we've had our share of snake charmers in the past.
I think the only movie I saw that came out last year was Dune, which was pretty good.
I'd agree. Dune.
If anything happens.
Oh, did the Spiderman movie come out?
That one for sure.
Personally, I don't have a favorite movie at the moment.
Okay. The new James Bond movie.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was good. The new James Bond. That's a good one, I would agree.
Now, I know we already talked about it. I have to go with Spider-Man No Way Home. That was by far my favorite movie of 2021.
Like I said, it's a very strong contender. I was surprised how many other films were on that list. I saw No Time to Die. It was fine. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite Bond, but I can see why a lot of people really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good.
Absolutely. I was surprised by the just sheer number of stuff that I wasn't expecting to be on that list, like Encanto.
Yeah, that was a really interesting one for sure. And of course, not every movie is going to be a winner. And honestly, there are movies we love to hate. Therefore, we had to ask, what was the absolute worst movie of 2021?
On the opposite side of the spectrum, what is your least favorite movie you saw all of 2021?
That's Antlers. That was horrible. That was a horrible movie. It was supposed to be a horror movie and it wasn't.
Drawings belongs to a student of mine.
This is what was in the mine. It's a diabolical spirit.
Probably Venom, maybe. I probably didn't hear much of it, but...
Whoa, where you going? That is a red one! You need to come out right now.
I guess Dune.
Dune? You thought it was the most disappointing?
I think it's the only movie I saw that came out in 2021.
Will you protect Paul?
With my life.
Anyway, Encanto, that was one?
Oh, I didn't like that movie.
I feel like that's really an unpopular opinion.
There's light where you least expect it.
What was your least favorite movie or the one that was most disappointing in 2021?
So I tried to go through the Marvel experience, and I got a little bored with some of the Iron Mans and where it went.
Some people call me a terrorist. I consider myself a teacher.
Last Night in Soho wasn't bad, but a little disappointing.
How can you lose?
I'm not sure if it came out in 2021, but the movie Cats, that might have been 2020.
Might have been 2020.
Of my days in the sun.
That one also really sucked. It could go, yeah.
I cannot believe someone said Dune. Now, they did say that they'd only seen one movie in 2021, so Dune was also their favorite, but come on, you could make something up. Don't insult Dune.
It still hurts. It still hurts. But I have to say it was incredible that somebody mentioned Cats. It's been too long, and it's still fresh in our memories. Now, we experienced the highs of Spider-Man and Dune, as well as the lows of Space Jam and The Matrix. But we made it through to 2022 together, and now it's time to look to the future. So we thought it was important to check in on what the most anticipated movies of the year are.
And then finally, what movie are you looking forward to the most in 2022?
Probably the Batman movie. That'll be coming out real soon.
While we didn't get to finish that, it was definitely incredible that we got Batman mentioned twice. I'm definitely super, super excited for the Batman coming this year.
No, that's definitely the one I am most looking forward to besides Doctor Strange. Those are both going to be fantastic movies. I cannot wait for the Batman, though.
Same here, Tom. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you next month for March 9th for more CTV Geeks. Have a great night, and stay classy.